Welcome to Toronto.
Thank you. Thank you.
Obviously, we've done a bunch of the questioning already
Mm-hmm.
on your draft night, but I wanted to ask you about your shooting form.
Yeah.
Is that from Dad? Is that from a coach? Is that where does that come from?
Right there.
Yeah.
That's Mom. Yeah, she played back in the day, Iowa State, and then in Japan for a little. So she was more of a post. I don't think she really ever shot threes, but definitely taught me the form and all the mechanics like that.
And has it altered much? I mean, you must have had coaches. Everybody wants to tinker with everything.
Yeah. No, the main thing is just kind of keeping it consistent, and then going in every day and just maintaining that same kind of mechanics and knowing what works for you personally. And I just found what worked for me. So.
In your mind, who's the best shooter in NBA history?
Probably Larry Bird and Steph.
Bobby said how you guys were having a conversation about your draft day suit and that there actually was another option. What was that other option? How did you even get to talk about that?
What was the other option? Oh, I think I was telling him I might could have gone a little crazier because I think that the pants matched with the top, but they didn't come in fitting me, so it kind of saved me a little because kind of toned it down, but still kept it pretty loud. So.
Where do you account for that side of your personality? Bill Self was saying,
Mhm.
nothing when you did draft night surprised him at all. Where does that come from? A lot of guys try and kind of play it down or play low-key
Mhm.
race over the spotlight and stuff.
Yeah,
How does that happen?
I think just my family and just taking the importance of just being yourself in everything that you do, and I'm not trying to put a facade on for anything. And my three other siblings, we're all close knit, so we have a lot of fun together. And just I feel like my mentality with it all is, if you're having more fun with it, then you're gonna do better at whatever you're doing. So when I'm having fun, on the court, making the crowd happy, stuff like that, and just getting my team going, and that's when I have the most fun competing against other
To
teams.
Mike's point, a lot of professional athletes are pretty reserved. Is there somebody that you grew up and looked up to, maybe not for their game, but for their personality, and just somebody that kind of showed you that it's okay to compete at the highest level while also being yourself?
Yeah, I wouldn't say not an exact person. I mean, a lot of time when I watch players, it was mainly just kind of picking up different moves that they had, and then just no one, you kind of see those guys. I look up to my two older brothers, so when I'd see kind of going their AU stuff or his high school stuff, and kind of away from the court, see kind of them being stone-faced, and just kind of not really put on a fake personality, but just kind of acting too cool for the spotlight. I didn't, like it too much, because I like kind of incorporating other people and bringing them in and just making a fun atmosphere for everyone. So, like I said earlier, that's what I have most fun doing.
How do you, last year was essentially a rookie year for you at Kansas, now another rookie year for you in the NBA. How do you sort of combine standing out and fitting in? Maybe you just don't overthink it, but what's your mindset in terms of joining an NBA team and, where there will be veterans and being yourself, but also, being a rookie?
Yeah, just really doing everything in my power to be prepared. And that confidence comes from that preparation and just doing what's worked for me so far, just being consistent in the gym and knowing my game personally and what works for me, and knowing what I can bring to a team, and then just trying to come here as a rookie and be a sponge and soak up all the learning that I can from Coach Darko and just the staff and everything like that, and I'm building off my teammates because I'll be one of the younger dudes on the team, so it's one of those things where I can come in and learn a ton quick.
Another guy who's super fun-loving is Scotty. It seems from the outside like your games will really mesh quite well. Is there anything specific, like handoffs or pin downs or anything that you're really excited to get on the court, sort of experience with him in particular?
I think the thing that's going to be most fun, playing with a player like him on the court is definitely just his overall game. As we're talking about, just he can do so many different things on the court with his size and length, and kind of combining my shooting and kind of me moving around the floor like that could be a definitely deadly duo type thing. But just going out there and just playing our games and seeing, that's I think one of the things we'll learn pretty quick going into when we're all together here, working out, competing against each other, is we're going to find what kind of works for us and how we can kind of utilize that in the games.
We saw you chatted with Scotty a bit. Have any of your
Your new teammates reached out to get a chance to get to know anybody else?
A little bit. I think majority, yeah, definitely just more Scotty from a personal standpoint of, he was at Montverde. I never got to play against him, but I was at Sunrise, so we kind of, our schools compete against each other. That's kind of when I first got to know him. But yeah, that's definitely just on a personal note of, FaceTiming him after and, kind of seeing his excitement, my excitement, and just building off that.
Has anything happened since draft night caught you off guard?
As in,
Just the way your life's evolved, changed, you saw the volume yesterday, you've been in the city. Has anything caught you? Oh,
I think in the most positive note, just how beautiful the city is and just the people around here. Definitely, me and my parents have noticed, like just walking around the street and how genuine, people are around here. And I've talked about it a lot, kind of going into this team stuff, and even before the draft, I wanted to be on, be in an organization where, I can find that good fit in it, but also be on a winning culture with, a fan base that's not like anybody else. And I think I hit the jackpot, being able to select coming here. And I see that, as I was talking about earlier with my parents, I don't know why you laughed, walking down the street, and it's just, families coming up. The first thing they say is just welcome to Toronto, and we're glad to have you. And I think that's what we take to heart the most, rather than just a quick hi and bye or stuff like that.
Grady, is there anything about the organization or members of the organization that really stood out to you when you had your work out here?
Definitely Coach Darko coming in, meeting Coach for the first time, and just seeing his personality and how it suits me really well as a player, because I was talking about a little earlier about being a sponge. That's what, I had to do going into Kansas, me being a new guy there and learning from a Hall of Fame coach like that. And then you put a coach like Coach Darko with, one of the most intelligent minds out there. So it's one of those things where it's a win-win. I can come in here, putting that work with him, and it's really rare, I feel like, to have a head coach putting you through a personal workout. So not a lot of teams have that. So I think that's definitely just a huge advantage and something to kind of help me propel into hitting the ground running.
we're just getting to know Darko.
Oh, as well, what stood out? I mean, the one-on-one or the one-on-one workout, him putting you through it, obviously, but like, what specifically stood out about what he was doing with you?
I think the thing that stood out the most is definitely just the knowledge. I can't even repeat some of the things he said, but I know what he's getting at about just different movements around the court that I hadn't really thought about ever. So it's the things that I came in with the interview process of what I wanted to work on. The pace to my game, just being consistent, getting my shots up on a daily basis, but really just those where I need to get better at, and then him kind of picking little things out and kind of putting that in different drills, different stuff, just stuff that I've never done before that has definitely helped my game.
So, if you're going to reject the screen and the pitch in the ball, it's like a hang dribble, then a crossover. You've got a lot of back cuts coming off of those little dribble handoffs. What are you looking for from defenders, and kind of what's your move to reach that ultimate moment?
Yeah, definitely, like I said, just they're reading the defender, knowing where his placement's at. If he's, like in college, a lot of times if, they're trailing me, I know that I can come off that screen. But then a lot of times they would just kind of cheat it, not let me shoot the three where I can kind of do that back door. That's actually what we worked on a lot today with Coach and Marquise and them, and it was just, using the defender, kind of for yourself to know where you can go, little stuff like that where like I said, I hadn't really thought about, in college and different things that I can definitely use in my game.
And then was there, at the NBA level, maybe the dribble handoff, being the guy coming off, there's a little bit more physicality.
Yeah.
Are there any tips or tricks that maybe Darko was giving you, like swim moves to get around, anything like that?
Yeah, of course. Just getting your work done early. If you're, trying to, bounce off the defender as you're coming off, then that's when he's gonna, kind of power you off. So I feel like, when you're getting going, you see the screen coming. I think the biggest thing he was teaching was, you have your hands off you. You do one little, like you said, swim move, or just get the hands off you. Makes you think that the ref, can't call a foul, and he's gonna play off you in the future in the game. So.
He thought you might be a two-and-done kind of player, and then that Duke game, and the end of that Duke game, he realized that that wasn't going to be the case. When do you think you realized that you were going to be an NBA player, a lottery pick, kind of a first-round pick kind of guy? Was there a moment for you?
Yeah, so I had the mentality and self-talk that I always get to this point. But I mean, I'd be lying if I said I would know for sure I'd be, in this spot right here. So, it's a blessing. I'm grateful for it. But I think probably around my end of junior year, going into senior year, where I said, I need to write down, these goals with my dad, and the last one being a one and done, and then before that, just kind of goals at KU, and going through the season, not focusing at all ahead of our games and practices and stuff like that. But getting to that point, realizing that if I could be consistent with how I work and what I can bring to a team, I could do it. So.
Did something happen in high school that sort of did that mentality switch?
I wouldn't say there wasn't like a significant moment. It was really just kind of overall the season, just how I felt competing against other teams and how we were playing as a team, honestly. And the amazing platform Sunrise put me and my teammates on was definitely a kind of an underrated thing where I could showcase my skills for the nation. So.
Sometimes hard to talk about yourself, but maybe it's a question better for Bobby or Masai, but what do you think stood out about your workout, your interview, because it's everything, both on and off the court, obviously, for the organization's going to put this trust in you. What do you think really stood out from your conversations, from your time, that ultimately led them to say, that's our guy?
I think the biggest thing that I tried to get across to them and let them know that the main priority on the court, and if I ended up in the city of Toronto, then it was really just coming into it, being the most selfless dude I can be, and I try to really explain to them that I'm coming into it, obviously being a rookie, I'm going to be the new guy coming in. And I keep talking about being that sponge, but I just wanted to be the guy that perfected any role that he was given. Whatever coach gives me, that I'm more than set with. I've achieved my dream, but knowing that it's not the end goal. This is just the start to everything, and just keeping that mindset where I'm never content with anything, and just trying to show that I'm ready to come in and work right away was what I try to get across.
Gradey, you mentioned Darko's knowledge.
Bobby said that one of the things that really stood out to them when watching you was your IQ. Have you always had like a natural feel for the game, or was it impressed upon you at an early age that, hey, like, you really gotta understand the game?
Yeah, I think it just kind of comes with playing and seeing live reads a lot of time with the IQ stuff, and just playing game tight situations where you're kind of forced to be put in those kind of tight spots in a game, and fail a lot. I think that's one of the most important things when growing up, and still now, that's the most times you learn. And so I feel like coming in as a rookie, not being afraid to fail, in practice, and maybe some points in games really can kind of help you in the long run, and those kind of times at the end of the season are what's going to really count. So kind of getting those down first, and then really just setting up yourself for success.
You always like unafraid to fail, or were you like super hard on yourself to sometimes like teach you that this stuff is okay?
I mean, obviously, didn't like failing. I'm growing up as a really competitive kid, and still am. But it's just like, a game could kind of alter my mood for that week. So I kind of had to learn to, through my dad and his principles for our family, of keeping a good body language through everything, and that's what I try to maintain going into my rookie year or my freshman year at college. Just knowing that on the court and off the court with my personality, that fans are gonna get into me with some stuff, but that's what I like the most. That's what kind of brings out the competitive spirit, is when I have that excitement around. So stuff like that.
How do you deal with that heckling that I'm sure you've had in the past?
Yeah, I love it. I love all of it, because I mean, I'm focused. The priority is the game, and getting as prepared as I can for that. But when you kind of hear those fans going back and forth, I'm pretty locked in. I zone out. It's pretty hard to get zoned in an Allen Fieldhouse type atmosphere, with the noise and everything like that. But you really just kind of learn to zone it out. But then after a miss, you start hearing some chanting of some aggressive language. But I think it really just kind of fuels that fire where I'm just kind of trying to prove them wrong, and it feels a lot better kind of being that villain, I guess, in those away games.
Have you decided on a jersey number for next year, and if so, what number?
I don't know. Can I say it? Yeah. We'll see it soon, but I'll be number 1.
And is there any particular reason behind wearing number 1?
Not too much. I wore it all in high school, and then I had to switch to 4 because they didn't have one at KU, so I finally get to go back to it.
Growing up in Wichita, do you have any connection with Fred VanVleet at all when he was with the Shockers? And other than, I presume, watching a fair bit. But,
Obviously grew up watching when he was here with him, and I'm really close with Ron Baker, another guy. But kind of through Ron and going to those games and seeing him at a young age, and actually going to some camps. I might have worked at camp. I was like really young, but I was like technically a worker. I guess I was just shooting with him on the side, and I just remember having some talks with him at a young age, and just after that, just seeing him blow up and do what he did. And actually, my dad has like this, what is it, poster in our room that say undrafted, and it's kind of an article about him, and I'd always have it kind of right, before I walk out my door.
You never actually met him in a meaningful way, or just like you were kind of a kid and a fan, and he was a big star in town?
Yeah, I think it was more a younger age. I don't think I've seen him too much since that, but it'll be a lot about soon. So.
How did you mesh with Baker? Where did that start?
So he's from Scott City. I get a little teary-eyed, huh? He's from Scott City, Kansas. Probably, yeah, it's close to kind of where I'm from. But he did a lot of stuff with Sunrise Christian Academy and Coach Luke Barnwell there. So when Ron would kind of be figuring out if he was going to come back overseas and stuff, we would work out in this gym in Wichita and kind of learn different stuff about WSU and those connections with Fred and stuff like that.
Are there NBA players that you grew up watching, trying to play like, trying to be like? Who are sort of your NBA role models?
Yeah, I say a lot of times I try to watch a lot of kind of highlights and just a little film on Reggie Miller and his mechanics and the way he moved without the ball. A guy like Klay Thompson, and then obviously if you're a shooter, definitely look at guys like Steph. But I think one of the most underrated things, I'm definitely getting better at too, is you hear these different podcasts like J.R. Smith talking about how underrated their conditioning is, and it's so true. You actually watch just them, without the ball, and how conditioned they are really to get the other team that exhausted to still kind of shoot a volume of shots is definitely stuff we're actually doing today, where we're running back, shooting threes, and just getting tired. And utilizing kind of that film and kind of input it into my game.
How do you feel about that word shooter? When people say he's a shooter.
I mean, I definitely love it because I take pride in it, and that's what I try to do the most. But at the same time, my goal is to go out there and first do what's best for a team, but second, kind of show in my personal that I'm not just a shooter. I can have that versatility that go there and excites me is definitely the NBA play style where the floor is a lot more space and the suction in kind of college. So kind of using the floor to do different teams for the team and just play basketball at the end of the day.
The front office or the coaching staff, have they emphasized how much that might have been missing in the past few years, or have they kept it close, everything on the future?
You're talking about like
shooting in general.
Mm-hmm.
Have they emphasized how that's been missing in the last 2 years?
Of like the other stuff, you mean?
No, not from your game, from the Raptors.
Oh, okay.
They've been one of the less successful shooting teams.
Yeah.
The last few years. Have they emphasized that to you? Or?
Yeah, I think what I was talking about, one of the first questions here was I wanted to be, in an organization where it was the best fit for me personally. And I was talking about how I hit the jackpot being here, and for a coaching staff and for an office like this is A1. So it's one of those things where, I got to come in and whatever coach lays me out to do, then that's what I'm going to go try to take pride in and perfect. And if that's shooting, which is definitely a thing that I'm coming in here to do. So it's some of the things that I'm going to take pride in and do my best to do. And, there's a winning culture here, and my goal is to come here and be a little part of helping it get back to that. So.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.